Hi, I'm Rex Wade. I had a couple questions today about hallucinations. What is an hallucination? Um, I have a book from 1980. It's called Abnormal Psychology, the third edition, right there. All right, it's all about abnormal psychology. It does go into the basis of regular psychology, but it's mainly about therapy, working things out. Hallucination, sensory perception in the absence of an external stimulus. Hallucinations are usually visual, but may occur in other sensory modalities as well. Sensory perception in the absence of an external stimulus. So there's nothing there causing this way of thinking or causing this image or audio to be perceived, yet it is. It is perceived. It's not how it's perceived. That I think would be an illusion. That would be an illusion. You see two black dots, small dots on one, big dots around the other. The center dots look different in shape, but they're not. They're the same size. That's my dog. Um, that's an illusion. I see something and I'm able to interpret it, but it is interpreted distorted. That's an illusion. An hallucination, there's nothing there. There's nothing to begin with. You make something out of nothing. That was the abnormal psychology. Another is the Family Mental Health Encyclopedia that I've been reading quite voraciously. It's a really good book. Hallucination, a false perceptual experience that carries the force of reality. The external stimulus needed to produce the experience is absent, but nonetheless seems to be there to the person producing the hallucination. Thus, in a visual hallucination, the individual sees something that is not present or others observe. For example, a patient suffering from schizophrenic disorder saw his dead grandfather walking across the room and tried to touch him. Hallucinations can occur in any sensory modality. Therefore, in addition to visual hallucinations, there are auditory, olfactory, tactile, and gustatory. I guess that would be like taste. Okay. Um, The presence of hallucinations is a strong sign that an individual is suffering from a disturbed mental state. They often are associated with other organic deterioration and functional disturbances. A combination of visual and auditory hallucinations may be so vivid that a patient will hold a conversation with an invisible presence. Kind of like me sitting in front of a camera with no one else around but my dog. Um, I wanted to underline something. I'm not going to do it in pen. It's not my book. Ooh, this is a nice yellow. Okay. I wanted to point something out. The schizophrenic disorder. The schizophrenic disorder patient saw his dead grandfather walking across the room and tried to touch him. All right. Now, two things. Hallucinations, something that's not there that we perceive to be there. We're making something out of nothing that no one else can see but us. The second thing, I used to work at a shelter. There was this female there who stayed overnight occasionally. And we had her set off because she was a single woman. So single women had to be set off from the families and the single men and all that. And we would have the women sleep on cots in the cafeteria. We would have maybe 7 or 8 of them a night. And Miss S, we'll call her, she would be up all night long, and she would be complaining of people talking to her, people rubbing up on her, and we had cameras on 2 different angles in that cafeteria and covered nearly the entire surface of the floor, and no one was ever around her. No one was ever around her. The other women would complain about her because she would stay up all night complaining about these things, rubbing up on her and talking to her and telling her things, and they said that she's schizophrenic. However, part 2 of the second thing is that building was and is haunted. Not in a bad way. It has spirits. It has stilled energies all over that place. I used to do the graveyard shift, and I would be very apprehensive at 3 o'clock in the morning to make my rounds off to the safe side, or what's now called I don't know. It's always going to be safe side to me. But they changed the names of the hallways. Anyway, that wing was called the safe side at the time, and I was terrified to walk around by myself at 3 o'clock in the morning when all the lights are out onto the safe side of that building. And that was before I heard any stories about there had been some deaths there, but there were also a couple babies born in those rooms, so it kind of balances out. But even before I was told that, I felt watched. I felt like there were things watching me, and not just the cameras. And I've never heard anything, but I guess that's part of that's a totally different sense. It's not a hallucination that way. But that does tell me, there was also Henry, before we go into that, there was also Henry, who used to sleep in the cafeteria, and he would sleep off to the side, or he would sleep in the kitchen, and he helped out passing milk and fruit cups to the kids, and they let him stay there for a long period of time, about 2 years. And he was troubled. You could tell. His cognition was not there. His recall was very slow, but his awareness was there. But anyway, you could tell that there was some kind of organic deterioration there. And he always said that there was someone at his window. There would be a window where you pass the dirty dishes, and he would also wash the dirty dishes. And at his window, he would say he never wanted to see his window because there would be something late at night pointing to him. And it was just this black thing. And on many occasions, they caught things on the security cameras. One time, there was this orb. It was nearly a perfect circle, but it was soft edged, and it was an orb that kind of danced in a derivative pattern. But it had a basic pattern, but it never followed a specific point that it would land at. But it had this pattern, and it had this rhythm to it. And every now and then, it would change the pattern. It would be on this triangular thing, where it would be bouncing from corner to corner, and then it would just float over much, much further in a different direction, and then come back, and then resume its triangle. And I don't know what that means. I used to think that, it wasn't like it was a reflection of a bug's wings while it was flying next to the camera, which happened all the time. It was something so bright, so bright, that it couldn't have been absent from being seen, but still come up on the camera. Like we would go to the cafeteria, there's nothing in there. Nothing in there. So there were spirits in there. There were definitely spirits. And I have more stories, but I'm not going to go into it. Schizophrenic disorder saw his dead grandfather walking across the room and tried to touch him. Now, is that an hallucination? Something that's not there? Or is a hallucination seeing at very different dimensions? What we see as light is only a partial UV light, ultraviolet light. That's only a little fraction of all the possible wavelengths and frequencies of energy. And we only know about a little bit too, and I'm sure there are more. But in the third dimension, that's what we can see, that's what we can hear, what we can feel, and sometimes we can't even feel that. It may be leaking into the fourth dimension. Anyway, so is an hallucination someone who's able to see into a different dimension? And if the souls and energies that we are exist on different dimensions in space and time, then are these people really disabled? Or are they just very scared of what they're seeing? Coffee. Because I've always wondered that. Schizophrenics are said to be moody, dissociative, sometimes avoidant in their behavior, in their mood. But a big thing is hallucinations. What do you see? And I'm beginning to feel that hallucinations, part of schizophrenia is also about interpretations of language. Language is heard, but it's put together in our head. It's taught to us. It's not something that we see. We're not taught what a triangle is. A triangle is, and we learn about the triangle. It's something real and tangible. But sounds, random sounds pushed together to make sense into languages, that's much different. That's something that we created. That could be said as a hallucination. You're making something out of nothing, a reality from just random just different sounds that don't make any sense, but we've given them sense. Could that be hallucination? Could language in itself be a mass hallucination? Because when you say a word long enough, it really doesn't make sense. Tom Green had a bit about that, where he was talking about tubing when he was in the hospital, getting his surgery done. If you know about Tom Green. Any word will sound weird if you say it long enough. Tubing, tubing. It doesn't mean anything. We give it the meaning. Because of that, many schizophrenics have a difficult time interpreting language. What does this person mean? What are they trying to say to me? In language, you have metaphors, you have similes. Metaphors are using something that has nothing to do with the other thing and relating them in an abstract way. Okay, that sounds like an hallucination too, making something out of nothing. Your metaphors are an exercise in schizophrenia, I guess. At least a simile has something that you're describing specific. A color as red as an apple. Sorry. But neologisms, the misinterpretation of words and meanings of words, as a lexicon, as progressing through time and culture, societies, neologisms are very much a schizophrenic trait. Misinterpretations. So I guess this all leads to my main question. A few weeks ago, I was outside and I started to think, all right, if I'm hallucinating, none of this is real, and this is something I made up in my own head. But if someone else, if I am hallucinating, and I am a hallucination of someone else's hallucination, I am not real, but I'm able to make something out of nothing, even though I am nothing, but I've made myself into something. Okay? So I am not real because I exist subjectively from someone else's hallucinations, making something that's out of nothing. And I'm able to do that with something else, make something out of nothing. So it's a train of nothingness and reality at the same time, going backward and forward, negative and positive, existing all at once. So if there are two people involved in this hallucination of reality, someone's hallucinating me, I'm hallucinating something else, maybe even that person, then reality is not singular, right? If that's true, reality is not singular, because there are other people hallucinating you and you hallucinating them and giving them power and them giving you power and you giving yourself power of existence, of reality. There is no objectivity. And if there is, it is in itself consciousness. Objectivity, one thing, right? It's the massive thing creating other branches of interpretation, of subjectivity. So what is, I mean, I guess it leads into consciousness. What is consciousness? Is consciousness the objective thing? And I don't know. But my question is hallucinations. Have you ever had hallucinations? If you have, please share. How would you know you're having hallucinations if the definition of hallucination is to interpret something as reality that's not real? So if I'm a schizophrenic, which I have my questions about because of all my reading I've been doing, if I am hallucinating, it's a lot better. If I'm hallucinating, how would I know I'm hallucinating? Because I would think it's all real. I don't know. How do I know that how do I know what's real? I think I'm hallucinating my entire world. And if I really put my consciousness into action, then I can change not just myself, I can change other people. And that comes out in dealing with people in a tense situation. When the situation gets tense and you have two people yelling, first thing you want to do is you want to start calming your breathing. Maybe make it a little audible, right? So people can hear your rhythm, that I'm slowing down, so maybe you should slow down, and we'll all be calm together on the same rhythm. You lower your breathing and you make it somewhat audible so that they see it or they hear it, and they're going to follow your rhythm. And you have to talk in a very soft, monotone, and direct way. I forgot why I got onto that. But oh, okay, yes. Now, if you slow yourself down, you're going to slow them down, and it's going to become like a mirroring exercise, where they calm down because you're calming down. I mean, you can't just like sit there and hope they just stop their anger. It doesn't work that way. You have to actively readjust the rhythm of the situation, and that's being a mediator, I guess. Anyway, if I can do that to other people, and they can do that to me, raise my blood pressure, make me get excited, fight and flight, then how powerful is consciousness? I would have to consciously make myself do something, and it would be projected onto them, like a movie, like a. It's like a mirror. It's the weirdest thing. So hallucinations. Is this all a giant hallucination? It's like the Matrix. We're making something of this that's not real. And all the food tastes the same. Most like chicken and oatmeal. So have you had hallucinations? If I am hallucinating you, please let me know, because I'll change it. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but if you know what that means, then perhaps you're hallucinating also. So good luck. I hope you don't understand any of this, because then you'd be hallucinating. But then I would be by myself in my hallucinations, which would mean that I'm of my own reality, and if I were to just stop thinking, I would stop existing. But then so would everyone else, which means we're all connected. I don't know. Tell me what your thoughts are. If you think I'm crazy, I would like to hear that too. Give me some good labels though, so I can look them up and tell you, hey, yeah, I am that. So good call. Or I can say, actually, bipolar is such and such. So let me know what you think, and we'll go from there. Bye bye.